Fala galera, podcast sem limites na área. Eu sou Marcos Rossi e é uma honra estar aqui com você, podendo bater esse papo. Você que está ouvindo a gente, seja em que plataforma você está ou vendo a gente, também seja muito bem-vindo. Gente, esse episódio do nosso podcast hoje vai ser algo inesquecível e inédito no Brasil. Pela primeira vez no Brasil, eu estou trazendo uma das figuras mais incríveis que eu já tive a honra de conhecer. Uma das pessoas que eu me inspiro e que eu aprendi muitas coisas que vocês veem hoje, muitas coisas que vocês aprendem comigo, eu aprendo com ele. Então, pessoal, vamos fazer barulho para a gente receber com muita alegria nada mais, nada menos do que ele, Scott Harris! Bate palma aí, galera! Yes! Bem-vindo, meu irmão. Welcome.
Thank you. I have no idea what you said, but I'm thinking it was probably nice. So thank you. Thank you. So excited to be here.
É uma grande honra estar aqui com você. Para quem não conhece, o Scott é um cara que roda o mundo todo, lado a lado, com o Tony Robbins. Quem me conhece sabe a minha história com o Tony. E esse é o cara que é o braço direito do Tony. Então, olha, ele mora na Austrália, galera. Na Austrália, e ele veio pela primeira vez no Brasil para estar aqui com você, aqui batendo esse papo e para você aprender. Então anota tudo que você puder, porque vai ser incrível. A nossa missão, né, eu e você, a gente treina pessoas há muito tempo, você já faz isso. E quando que isso surgiu, assim? Primeiramente, quem é o Scott Harris e como você veio parar nesse mundo do autoconhecimento e como você foi acabar parando lado a lado com o maior treinador do mundo e se tornando um dos maiores treinadores do mundo também?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. It's a big question. I was just a regular guy. I mean, my mom was married and divorced a few times before I was quite young. I had 3 dads before I was, I think, 10 years old. We moved house a lot. I went to 8 schools by the time I got to grade 9. I lived in about 15 houses. And at 15 years old, I was pretty angry at the world about the life that I didn't get and didn't want. And so at 15, I packed up and left. And I left home. And I got a job and I rented an apartment and I was working in the grocery store, stacking the cans of beans on the shelves. And after about 1 year, this wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. And so I managed to get back to school and I took myself through school. And I just was living a normal life, working hard. I knew I wanted to be successful, so I worked really hard. So I worked hard in other people's jobs, and then I worked hard in my own cafes and own restaurants. And by 25, I was a couple of things. By 25, I was already feeling very old. I'd been working hard for a long time, since I was 15 years old. But I knew if I worked hard, then I could be successful. I hadn't spoken to my mum for more than like 10 years.
Wow.
From 15 to 25. And I was pretty angry and upset at the life that I had had because it wasn't fair or what I'd want it to be. And just by chance, my mum went to the very first Tony Robbins seminar in Australia ever.
Wow.
Ever. She was old. She was 50. I'm now 54, so I now know that's young, but back then I thought it was old. If you're watching this and you're 25, 50 is young, but you don't think it is, but it is. You're going to be 50 one day too. And then long story short, I went to my first seminar not to change my life, not to improve my business, not to be transformed. I went because I thought my mom had joined some crazy cult and she was in some crazy gang and she was weird. And so I went to save her. And it was funny for me. And it was the first time in my life that I had begun to be aware of that you could actually be in control of your own life. And up until that moment, honestly, Marcos, I really had just thought, life happens to you. You know, it's not my fault that I work in this job. It's not my fault that I had this restaurant. It's not my fault that I have the childhood that I had. Like, it just happens to you. And so it was really the beginning of what I call, the phrase I use, living deliberately, living on purpose. Now, I was slow. I wasn't a quick learner. For me, the beginning of books and seminars was becoming more aware of what I didn't want to do. Then what's my mission? What's my passion? What's my purpose? That took a while for me to find. Some people, they find it straight away. I did not. It took me a long time to get disentangled from my old life before I could find what is my life going to be about. So that's kind of how it started. And I'm very blessed to have been doing that for 30 years now.
Wow.
30 years, wow. I really am old.
Wow. 30 years, 30 anos. 30 years with Tony?
30 years with Tony and 30 years in awakeness and personal development, books, seminars, cassettes. If you know what a cassette is, it's an old thing, not a podcast. A cassette, 30 years in that space.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
É uma honra ter você aqui.
Great to be here.
Qual foi o ponto mais importante que fez você vir para o Brasil, para essa missão que a gente teve aqui?
Oh, easily. Your passion, your excitement, your enthusiasm. I mean, I've traveled the world for 30 years, professionally and for fun. I've never been here. And your passion, your enthusiasm, your commitment to serve, the way that I've seen you show up when we've seen each other in the United States at different seminars and so forth. Oh, 100%. You're the reason I'm here. No question.
And uma das coisas que eu aprendi muito com você durante os treinamentos lá fora e nessas vivências que a gente tem, eu me lembro que você me ensinou como fazer planejamento, como planejar metas. E muitas pessoas vivem no automático e esquecem de olhar para essa parte tão importante. Que dica você daria? Qual seria a sacada que você daria para essas pessoas? A importância de você planejar do jeito certo?
I just got goosebumps when you said that. Because I lived a lot of my life not deliberately. A lot of my life, like you said, just you would go from this job to this job and then from this place to this place, and you don't even really have a plan for your life. You can wake up and be 30 years old and not even know how you got there. Like, why do you work in this bank, or why do I run this cafe? Or, like, you don't even know. It just happens. You met someone and so they knew someone, but it's not really a plan. And I think when you have an awakening or aha, or you read a book or you watch a podcast or you meet somebody and you have your moment, you go, gosh, what if I really could live my life on purpose? Like, what if I could live it deliberately? What if it could unfold the way that I wanted it to unfold? What if I could be the writer of my own story? And that's for me what goal setting is. So goal setting is saying, I want to live my life deliberately. And goal setting is kind of like that first level, Marcos. It's kind of like, I think you move past goal setting eventually, but in the beginning it's like, okay, in the next 3 months, I'm going to do this. In the next 6 months, I'm going to do that. In the next 12 months, I want to get this. And usually with goal setting, you start with easy things. Some weight loss, some money, a thing you want to buy, a trip you want to have, easy things. But I think when goal setting gets good, a bit like the gym, in the beginning you do small weights and then you do big weights. I think when you go beyond, I want to get this new thing or buy this new computer, like we're having lunch with your son and he wants to get a new computer or whatever it is. I think when you start to go 1 year and 3 years and 5 years, and for me the number was 10 years. When you start to plan your life,
yes.
You call it goal setting, but it's planning your life. In 10 years, this is how I want to live. This is the life I want to have. This is the man I want to be or the woman I want to be. This is the husband or the father I want to be. This is the business I want to have. And you write that down in 10 years, and then you do what I say. You live your life backwards.
Whoa.
And by living your life backwards, I mean, I want to be this. I can very clearly remember at 40 mapping out on paper, you would call it goal setting, this is how I want to live when I'm 50. But I was 40. So you map it out. How do you want to be physically? How do you want to be financially? How do you want to be in your marriage? How do you want to be in your parenting? What house do you want to live in? What car do you want to drive? What boat do you want to own? And then you work backwards and go, okay, great. Well, if that's 50, this is 45, this is 42, this is 41. Shit, I better get to work. Does that kind of make sense? And then there's important skills and tools to goal setting. And I think we're going to do some tomorrow at the event that we're going to do.
Yes, sir.
So I think it's telling your brain what to look for. And you know the NLP, when you tell your brain what to look for, it will find it. It's that simple. And if you don't tell your brain what to look for, then it just finds whatever comes up in front of it. But if you say to it, in the next 90 days, I'm looking for this. In the next 180 days, I want to create that. In the next 12 months, I want to make this. Your brain, I don't know how it works, God, the universe, destiny, I don't know how it works, but it does. And all of a sudden, you meet a person or you read a book or you see something on the bus or you hear a podcast and it starts to come to you, and that thing that you told your brain to look for, that 90-day goal, that 180-day goal, all of a sudden it starts to become real.
Uau. Eu me lembro que teve um exercício que você fez com a gente lá, acho que foi em 2018, onde você pediu pra gente escrever uma carta pra gente mesmo. E nessa carta, a gente parabenizava a gente pelas conquistas que a gente tinha feito e tudo mais. E eu escrevi um monte de coisa naquela época, sem saber realmente o que realmente viria. E cada coisa que eu coloquei naquele papel se tornou realidade. Por exemplo, estar com o Tony no Rio de Janeiro. Estar trabalhando no time do Tony. Uma casa, uma dessas coisas que eu nem lembrava, uma casa onde eu pudesse treinar musculação, natação, sem precisar depender de carro, de transporte, enfim. E na minha mudança para Natal, eu achei essa carta. E lá estava escrito tudo aquilo que eu estava vivendo. E você foi o cara que me fez escrever isso.
Oh my gosh, it's the most important thing. If your head's anything like mine, it's noisy in here. It's busy in here. It's crazy in here. There's lots of thoughts going on. It was you that said to me one day, paper accepts anything. Paper has no judgment. If you have a pen and you write, I think there's nothing more powerful than your own words in your own handwriting on a piece of paper. And it's funny, it's different on a keyboard, and it's different. I'll tell you why. Because we've been doing this for about 12 years with thumbs, with texting.
Except
Not you,
me.
the rest of us. We've been doing this for about 60 years. But this, writing, painting on a wall, putting things down, carving things, we've been doing this for thousands of years. And I think when we write things down, it does lots of things. It cuts through, it clarifies, it crystallizes. You have to take all your feelings and thoughts and get them into just a few words in order and sequence. I think it carves into your brain at levels that we don't even understand, that says this is going to happen. I think you have to write things down. You have to write down how you want things to be in the future. You have to write them down. And the minute you start to write them down, the universe already starts to open up and starts to bring those things towards you. And it comes in a funny way. It could be like a bus could drive past you and there's an ad on it, but the ad somehow means something to you and you see it differently or you hear it differently, or you'll be sitting on a plane and you say, oh, I got to get my finances sorted out. And so you write down why you want to get your finances sorted out, and you sit down on the plane and next to you is a financial advisor or a financial coach, or the universe starts to move towards you. But writing things down, every exercise that I have ever done as a participant, and every exercise I take thousands of people through as a trainer, it has to be written down. In here, this is the worst place to have things organized and things kept, because it's noisy in here, it's messy in here, it's confused in here. You get tired in here, you get grumpy in here, you get angry in here. But on paper, once it's written down, man, once it's in your own handwriting, ain't nothing as powerful as your words, your voice in your handwriting on your bit of paper, there to be seen. That's pretty big stuff.
Uau. Eu tenho a honra de ter você, o Tony, como meu mentor, meus mentores, mas muita gente não entende a importância de ter um mentor na nossa vida. Então, na sua visão, qual que é a maior importância de um mentor na vida de uma pessoa? Assim, quais as principais características de um mentor?
I think honestly, for me, it's congruency, and by congruency, I mean lots of people can talk the talk, but are they walking the walk? And the thing, Tony obviously is a great mentor for both of us. He's someone that, yes, he's a great teacher, and yes, he's got great success, but he's still humble, he's still kind, committed to his spouse, his parenting, his mission. And so for me, it's congruency, and I think if you're congruent, which means you're doing what you said you would do. Like that's the big sentence right there. Are you doing what you said you would do? Like that's as big as it gets. If you say you're going to take out the trash, take out the trash. If you say you're going to go to the gym, go to the gym. If you say you're going to, release some wounds from your childhood, then release from wounds from your childhood. Like, are you congruent with what you're doing? And I think about my own career, it was congruency that really got me my first opportunities. My first opportunities to speak came from, nobody knew who I was. And in Tony's organization, I wasn't a senior trainer or high up in the pyramid of success. But at this one particular thing, I was very congruent. And I didn't know it in the organization, but that congruency got me noticed, because if you are doing what you say you're going to do, that already separates you from the pack. Like, so if I'm looking for mentors, whether it's a finance mentor or a health mentor, or in my case with Tony, a life mentor, a mission mentor, I'm looking for congruency, not just la, 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 la. And particularly now, the 21st century, you can have a great facade. You can have, an image and a branding and podcasts and filming and video, but that doesn't mean it's real. And I've met enough speakers behind the curtain now to know, like any industry, there's good mechanics and bad mechanics. There's good dentists and bad dentists. In our industry of personal development, there's good personal development coaches and trainers, and there's not good personal development and trainers, which is true for any industry.
Humans.
Human beings, perfect. So for me, I'm looking for congruency, really.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess too, I'll say, and also alignment with my values. So
Yes.
I'm not looking for someone, I'm looking for someone aligned with my values, which doesn't mean my values are the right values, but they're my values. And I want to be drawn to and learn from someone who has a similarity to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Isso leva para a minha próxima pergunta. O que desenvolveu em você essa vontade, né, de levar, essa missão de levar isso para as pessoas, e qual o ponto dessa mudança?
It's funny, we were talking in the car, and for me it wasn't one moment, and I'll tell you why, because I wasted a lot of the first part of my life. And when I say wasted, I didn't waste it because I was learning, but I was just living my life unconsciously. I went to school, and then I dropped out of school, and then I got a job, and then got another job, and then I opened a business, and just kind of ended up being 30, but didn't really know how I got there and didn't really plan for that. It just kind of got there. Does that kind of make sense? You maybe you must have had the same experience. You wake up one day and you go, gosh, I'm 30. How did that happen? Or I'm 40. How did that happen? And then I started personal development with Tony, other books, other seminars, cassette tapes listening, and so forth. And I got clear on what I didn't want my life to be. And then over time, I got clear on what I wanted my life to be about. And I started focusing on health, and then that was good. And then I started focusing on relationships, and that was good. And then I started focusing on money, and that was good. And then after about probably 8 or so years of doing that, I looked around and saw that lots of people that were learning the same stuff as me weren't using it. I was like, dude, what's up with that? Like, I'm not the smartest guy you're ever going to meet, but if I learn something, like if someone smarter than me teaches me the 3 steps to doing something, I'm going to go use those 3 steps. Yeah. If someone smarter than me has got 5 keys to wealth and they're going to teach it to me in a book or a podcast or a seminar, well, I'm going to go do the 5 steps. And it's amazing how when you do someone's 3 keys or 5 steps, that they work. It's like, damn, that worked. It was pretty easy. So that's when it really came to me about going, well, okay, I've been so blessed to meet so many great teachers. I'm so privileged to have the proximity to the people that I have. The people on my phone I can call. It's crazy. If I show you my phone list, who I can call, who I've met over the years is absurd. For a guy that was so bad at high school, they asked me to leave when I was 15. I'm like, you need to go. And I say that not to brag, but it's like, because proximity is power. But my mission now is to go, anybody, no matter what your circumstances, can have a better life. I mean, anybody can have. Now, I'm not saying, wherever you were born, and I mean, you're the great example. So I get we're all born differently, but however it is for you right now, it can be better than it is. And I am respectful of saying, well, where you were born and what your circumstances are and so on, but it can be better, and it's not difficult. It's not complicated. And there's great people who will happily teach you. You just have to take responsibility for doing it. And applying the work and applying the content and applying the skills and tools. And it's not a momentary thing. It's every single day. Every single day, you got to go back to the gym. Every single day, you got to make sure, am I on track today? You want to be married for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Every single day, you got to be in that marriage. You want to be in business, particularly in this new world economy, you got to be in it every single day. So it's not complicated. But it's personal responsibility. So I guess I'm driven by that. That was a long answer, I'm sorry. Helping people live a more deliberate and more conscious life.
Uau. Você é uma referência no mundo dos negócios, né? Você é um dos caras que toca o Business Mastery. E sabendo disso, tem algum ponto que você enxerga que muitas pessoas erram e podem já começar corretamente evitando esses erros comuns nesse mundo dos negócios? Qual é o maior dos erros mais comuns?
You have to fall in love with your client and not your product. So most people go, oh, I sell these cups. These are the best cups in the whole world. Let me tell you why these cups are amazing. I import them and they're handmade by a Tibetan nun and it's organic and made from hemp seed. And so they fall in love with the product instead of falling in love with the relationship with the client. And why does the client want the cup and need the cup? And when the client no longer wants the cup and needs the cup, find some more needs that client has and keep servicing the client. And I'm not saying ignore the product. You want to have good products and products that you're proud of, that you enjoy, but fall in love with the client and the relationship you have with them. That's the first thing I'd say. And the second one I would say is you have to continually find ways to add more value to the people you're doing business with. If I think about money, Marcos, money is just energy. It's a transfer of energy. If you think about electricity, that's energy that gets transferred or stored. So it gets transferred and used or stored in batteries and so forth. Water is energy transferred. It gets transferred through flow and stored in tanks and reservoirs. Money is energy transferred, and it gets transferred through transactions, and you store it in wealth, in houses and crypto and so forth. And the way you increase the energy is by increasing the value that I add to you. And so the more value I add to you, I have to over and above deliver what I said that I would do. And so like right now, we got off the plane. That's why I look like crap. We just finished a seminar for 4 days and we flew direct from Miami to wherever we flew. I haven't showered yet for maybe 2 days. I'm sorry, it's a podcast, it's okay. But you said, can we do the podcast? I said, of course we can do the podcast. Because you got to add value. So whether you're, you get a coffee in a restaurant, you can get a coffee and you get a coffee. Depends how the waitress brings it to you. You can have a pool man and he can clean your pool or he can clean your pool. I mean, really, there's a difference, right?
That's it.
And whether you're a waiter, whether you're cleaning the pool, whether you're in coaching and teaching, you got to add value and give people that experience where they go, wow, that's a really clean pool. If you really give someone a wow experience, then you as the pool owner, you're happy to pay for that.
Yes.
But if it's not a wow experience, you're like, oh, the pool doesn't look very clean. Why am I paying that guy? So I think fall in love with the client and not the product. And I think find ways to massively add value. Add value. And here's the thing, because no matter where you are economically, as a consumer, if I've had a wow experience, like if the waitress really did a great job or the pool guy really did a great job or my dentist really did a great job, I don't usually care what the bill is. If it's a wow experience, you're like, okay, that's a fair price. I'm happy to pay. But if you just do an average experience, then you look at the bill and you're like, oh, that seems a bit much. So I think that's what I would say. That's the two things.
Se você quer ganhar dinheiro, entrega mais. Entrega mais. Para de pensar só no que você vai ganhar, que você vai chegar lá. Próxima pergunta. Qual o maior desafio que você já passou até hoje na sua carreira como treinador, como mentor, que por algum motivo tenha feito você ter que procurar ajuda para saber como lidar com a situação?
I've always been a great student. And I've always been great at finding people that are smarter than me. I'm really good at saying, okay, when I'm doing something new, I can remember when I was 30 and I decided to take up the sport of triathlon, Ironman triathlons. So I'm sure your audience knows what an Ironman triathlon is. And my first thought was, okay, well, I can learn this by myself, or I can find someone to teach me how to do it. So I went and found someone who was very good. They were 8 times national champion. They were the triathlete of the decade in my country. And so I went to get him to coach me. He said, you're really old. 30 is really old. You need to be, 18. I managed to convince him. He coached me. And in 1 year, I went from having done not one triathlon ever. And in 1 year, I got to finish in the top 10 nationally for my country and go represent my country at the World Championships. And it wasn't because I was so gifted or talented or clever. It's because I got a really good coach, paid him a lot of money, and then I did exactly what he said to do. So that was the 3 things. Really good coach, not average. I paid him a lot of money, which is the energy transfer. He's going to transfer me 30 years of wisdom, but I have to transfer some energy first. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And then he's going to say what to do. And it was a lot. And I did everything he said. And then the result came. And people went, oh, you're so lucky. You're so talented. Oh, you're so gifted. I'm like, no, I'm not. I got a really good recipe. So same thing. When I first had kids, I had kids late. I didn't have my first child till I was 40, which is a bit older than most people. Straight away, it's like, okay, I need to learn something. I didn't have a dad. I had 3 dads before I was, 12 years old, but I didn't have a relationship with a dad that's growing up. It's like, I need to go find some people. So I had 3 men that I knew that were older than me that all had really good families, and I would take them out for lunch and take them out for dinner and say, tell me, what do I do? What do I do? Tell me, what do I do? I read 40 books on parenting. So you read 40 books on parenting, you get pretty good at something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm continually always looking for help. I'm looking for help. Even just, I was telling you before, 3 years ago, I took a year off. We went to Europe for a year, and I stopped being a vegan. So I stopped being super conscious of my diet. And we had a year in Europe. If you know where Europe is, I had a year of eating anything I want. And so I put on about 18 kilograms. 18, 1-8, in 1 year. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of beer in Germany and a lot of pasta in Italy, and there was a lot of pastries in France and a lot of wine. It was a lot of fun. And when I got home and I started trying to lose it, it's like, gee, I'm 50 years old. It's harder to lose weight at 50 than at 35. So I had to go and find a couple of mentors, and I found a lady, a really smart lady in America who was great. And so she's helped me the last year and a half, and now I'm back to super fit and super strong and super lean. So I think I'm always looking for someone smarter than me. Be prepared to go, at this, that person's smarter than me. It doesn't mean they're better than me. It doesn't mean that they're above me. It just means at that thing, they know more than me. And so they're congruent. They're aligned with my values. Talked about it before. Happy to transfer to some energy. That's why you pay. And then they're going to give me their wisdom at that one thing.
And you will do whatever they ask.
And then that's the key thing, right, as a student. As a student, when the master gives you the 5-step plan, don't go, well, step 1's awesome. Step 2, I don't think so. I'll do some of step 3 and I'm not doing step 4. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If I come to you and you have the expertise, you've got 30 years of doing something, and I give you my value, which is I pay some money to you, and then you give me the plan, then you have to work the plan.
Yes.
Like all 5 steps, not just 3 of the 5 steps. It doesn't work that way.
Vai lá e faz. A gente está quase indo para o final do nosso bate-papo, mas tem uma coisa que eu queria saber. Qual é a principal habilidade que você possui, que você pode deixar de ensinamento para quem está escutando a gente aqui, que eles podem aplicar hoje na vida deles. A principal habilidade.
The most important. How long do we have? I don't know if... Oh, it's such a big question, man. Well, I'll say this. I'll say the easiest thing to implement, which is now, right? Now, if you're talking about now, what's the thing I can do right now? I'm watching this right now. I'm listening to this right now. I think there's two things. So not one, sorry.
Yes, great.
I think one is in your head or in your heart, and that is you have to make decisions. You got to make emotional decisions, and you can either make them from a negative place or a positive place. They're both useful. I've had times in life where I'm, effing pissed off and angry and frustrated at something, and that can be a useful emotion. Like if you're frustrated at your finances or frustrated at your weight or frustrated in your job or like effing pissed off about something, use that emotion. If you happen to be inspired about something or motivated about something or, looking forward to something, that's useful as well. But either way, you have to make emotional decisions that says this must change. Like this has to change. Again, it doesn't matter if it's your job, your business, your marriage. That's kind of really all there is, right? There's your job, your business, your marriage. And then that's the first thing I'd say. You got to make real decisions. And then as we talked about before, you got to write that stuff down. Don't be making decisions in your head. You got to write them down. If you're going to take yourself to an emotional place where you're so engaged with something, you then want to capture that emotion, written it down on a piece of paper somewhere. And whether it's angry emotion or happy emotion, either way, write it down. And then the second thing that I think, and this will be surprising, I think, is physically, the number one thing you can do is, and this sounds funny, but is be healthier. And I'll tell you why. I don't care about if you want to look in your six-pack or be whatever, but anything I want to do, I got 4 kids, I have a wife of 20 years, I have a business at home, I do teaching and speaking with Tony Robbins, I travel the world, I got to bring energy to whatever I'm doing. And so when I say be healthier, it's not so you can, run a marathon. And if you want to run a marathon, that's fine. But it takes energy to live your day and to be up from, early in the morning to late at night. And just so for me, it's energy. And there's simple choices you can do every day to move your body and get fresh air and get sunshine and drink water. We got water going on here so that you have the energy to bring to your life. If you have 100 emails to answer and you've got to do some reading that night and you've got to go to the exercise and you've got to talk to your spouse and if you're not in a place of health and energy, that's difficult to do. And I think energy is the easiest thing to change. It's the easiest thing. If you have a snack, have a healthy snack. If you're going to, eat lunch like we did before, eat some good lunch. I think being a little bit healthier makes your life much, much easier. I look at people who are unhealthy and go, man, their whole day must be hard. Like just hard. Whereas I think if you have some energy, you can get it going on, man. Whatever has to get done, you can get it done better.
Uau, e você é a prova viva disso, porque você está viajando há sei lá quantos dias, vindo do nosso último PW que a gente fez, pegou avião e tal, e tá aqui para servir a galera aqui no Brasil e com essa energia toda. É incrível, cara. Só tenho a te agradecer. A gente está indo para o final do nosso bate-papo, eu queria te agradecer muito, porque você, para mim, é uma inspiração e uma palavra ou uma frase, algo que você queira dizer para finalizar aqui, de deixar de lembrança para os brasileiros aqui da sua vinda, para a gente fechar o nosso papo.
I would say, firstly, thank you. Thank you to you for inviting me to come here and be here. It's really a privilege. Thank you for watching and listening. Well, you're watching and listening because you love and respect this man here, or maybe somebody sent you the link and you're watching and listening because of that. I never take for granted the opportunity to share with someone any of the things that I've been lucky enough to learn and use. So if you're still watching this and you've got 30 or 40 minutes in, bravo. I'd say that, that none of us are special. Not me, not him, not any of you watching. And then in the same breath, I'd say all of us are special. You're special and he's special and I'm special. and that all of us have an opportunity to live a better, healthier, happier, richer, freer, more abundant life if we choose to. And there's lots of great mentors and coaches, as I've had come into my life, as you've had come into your life, and as we now get to pass on to the next generation or the next chapter. We're not anything special. We've just learnt some cool things. We've used some cool things, and now we pass it on, and we pass it on to you. And so I get goosebumps still after 30 years thinking this. My wish for you is anything that you learn from either me or from this beautiful man or anybody that you're in contact with, write it down, take some notes on it, put it into action, see what results come up from it, and then keep doing it. And when you're old like me, you'll look back and go, wow, that was a really, really cool life. But all of us are capable of this, and just be grateful every day and happy every day, and keep looking to be a little bit better today than who you were yesterday. That's all I got, brother. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Uau, galera, salva de palmas pro Scott Harris. Yay! Valeu, galera. Muito obrigado. Espero que você tenha curtido. E, ó, comenta lá, manda no Instagram, Marcos Rossi Real. Escreve o que você achou, uma frase, algo que te impactou, tá bom? Muito obrigado pela sua audiência. E vejo você no próximo episódio, porque eu vou dizer um negócio, o próximo episódio vai ser mágico, galera. Espero você lá. Um forte abraço e viva sempre, sempre, sempre com muita paixão e supere sempre. Valeu, galera. Yes!